Then is there anything that does not have a root in subconscious? We were talking of the relation between the conscious and the subconscious. You said feelings and emotions of the conscious mind are rooted in the subconscious. Is there anything in the conscious mind which is not rooted in the subconscious?
Everything is related, so I would say no.
So what we see,
Awareness.
huh?
Awareness
Awareness,
is only in consciousness.
only in
You
consciousness.
think it couldn't be subconscious. Awareness is conscious. Although not whole consciousness, it is conscious.
And rationality is not in subconscious.
Is it-
This is questionable. I'm not sure.
Is it
I'm not sure.
out of the demand of rationality that you decide to be rational? My question is, operating from a point of rationality, you choose something. You say it is good to be rational, so I am choosing A over B. How did you choose rationality itself?
That's the faculty we have got
Was that a conscious decision?
to an extent.
So, I am choosing rationality, which means that rationality has not yet come. I am going to be deciding in a rational way, right? From where does rationality come? What makes me decide that rationality is good?
Because of choice.
Because
We
of
have choice.
choice.
A and B we have.
Right, you have choice, but why do you choose A over B? When you normally choose A over B, you say you are using the instrument of rationality. My question is, why did you choose this instrument itself in the first place? Was that a conscious decision? No. So rationality itself is rooted in the subconscious. Rationality itself is not very rational. Rationality itself is not very rational. The products of rationality are all rational choices. But to be rational itself is no rational decision. There is nothing in the conscious mind which is not coming from the subconscious, and there is nothing in the subconscious which is not coming from another place which consciousness, whether explicit or hidden, cannot even touch. When we say that something is fully in the domain of consciousness, it only means that we are not yet looking at that thing in its totality. It is like just looking at the leaves of a tree and saying that the tree is all located above the ground. Obviously, if you are looking only at the leaves, you will feel that the tree is only above the ground. When you look at the whole thing, it is always rooted down somewhere. There is nothing that we do that is not coming from an old dark cave of primitive tendencies. Please understand this. Even the most sophisticated, learned, knowledgeable, civilized action is coming from the same point from where the caveman operated. It is just that its expression and manifestation has changed. What has not changed? Let's look into it. What was it that the caveman wanted when he took any decision? Let's say he's deciding to kill an animal. Let's say he's deciding to move into another cave. Let's say he's deciding to rub two stones to get fire. Huh? Let's say he's deciding to chase a particular woman. Let's say he's deciding to build a weapon out of stone for himself. What is he wanting in all these pursuits? Whether he is chasing an animal, a cave, a weapon, or a woman, what is he wanting? Please, what is he wanting? We all want the same. What was that caveman wanting?
Continue himself.
To
continue himself.
To continue himself. Wonderful.
Some kind of security.
Some kind of security. A continuation of the self, right? All right. Now here is the rationalist. Year 2016. And he is writing a book and he is addressing conferences. He is teaching, he is expressing. What does he want? What does he want? The same thing. It is just that the expression appears to be drastically different.
Very easy the difference. The caveman, at least he was aware he wants to be.
He wants to?
Wants to continue as his life. But the modern man, he quite often doesn't even know what does he want. This consciousness of himself is so weak.
So weak or
So
so.
undeveloped that even this desire doesn't, in a sense, doesn't exist.
Would you call it?
Consciously?
Would you call it
But it's only
weak?
a machine. He
Yes.
likes a machine.
But would you call it weak or would you call it covered?
This is weak.
Because you are using the word awareness in context of knowledge.
Yeah, awareness is something else. Awareness is hard.
When you are saying that the caveman was awareness of his motives
Yes, yes.
or his roots, then what you mean is that he had knowledge of this.
In a sense.
My question is, what if the caveman had no language? Did he still have knowledge?
Yeah, in a sense.
Even-
Basic knowledge. We say this is not verbal.
So then you would say he had a particular tendency.
Something like that.
Something. That tendency is there with this man also. It is just that this man has a very advanced language. And in that language, he does not call fear as fear. In his language, this rationalist, this modern pragmatist, calls his fear as ambition. You're getting it? So I would rather say that his consciousness of what he is doing is covered under language. When he is chasing a woman, he is not just chasing. He is calling it love. So the fact of his consciousness that he wants security, that he wants continuity, is buried under the word. Which word? Love. Do we see this? This is getting us to a very important point in understanding the relation between conscious and subconscious. What we call as conscious is only that which we express in words or which is expressible in words. Our entire world is expressible in words, otherwise it does not exist. Subconscious is tendency, the ego tendency. Conscious too is the ego tendency. The conscious mind is the one in which the ego tendency has taken the shape of images, forms, sounds, words, symbols. Symbols of any kind. They may not necessarily be words. Are we getting it? So to draw this distinction between conscious and subconscious, is it really fair? It is the same totality of mind in movement, the same old mind which is afraid, which wants protection, which thinks that death will come and consume it. So it is looking for continuity in a lot of ways. What are the ways in which we look for continuity? And you have to contribute now. Progeny, wonderful. So by reproducing, we feel that we will gain immortality. Even if I am not there, some part of me will survive in time through my child. That is one way of trying for immortality. You see, there is something about us which really loves immortality. There is something about us which is in close contact with immortality. That is why all the time we are chasing immortality. That is why we don't like death. Surely we have some contact with deathlessness. So, procreating is one way of trying to regain immortality. The same immortality of which we already have some kind of, I shouldn't call it an experience, but primitive memory. Not memory of the mental kind. What are the other ways in which we want continuity and have it?
Name and fame.
Name and fame. So others should continue to respect me. Oh, that is the caveman talking. My fame should not take a beating. Now, how does respectability, how does name and fame contribute to continuity? How does man expect to defeat time by being respectable or popular? How exactly? What is the inner calculation?
Even after he passes away, his deeds are there.
Lovely. And just as we are afraid that time will eliminate us, the dual friend of time. Who is the dual friend of time?
Space.
Space. So we are equally afraid that space too will eliminate us. How does fame and name help us in fighting the threat of space? If I have children, then I am fighting the threat of time. If I have popularity, then I am fighting the threat of space. How? How?
Large amount of people is speaking about.
Oh, I might be sitting here. Yes, I might be sitting here. But I am being thought of in Slovenia.
Yeah.
So I have defeated the expanse of space. It is not that I am not present there. What is space? Space is something that limits you. Space is something that makes you feel small. Infinite space. And I am present only here. Space is here, there, everywhere, and I am present only here. But if I can be present in your mind, then I am present there as well, and there as well, and there as well. Do you see the quest for continuity? Do you see how afraid we are when we try to be known, to be acceptable, to be respectable? And how else do we seek continuity?
Memories.
Wonderful. In fact, this could have come in the number one place. First of all, we assume ourselves to be continuous. Do you wake up and say that you are a new man? What do you assume yourself to be?
The same old.
The same one who went to sleep. And that continuity, that linkage is provided by memories, which is thought, which is the whole inner game which keeps on repeating itself. Now can you see how relying on memories and living in thoughts is a symptom of fear? Unless you are afraid of elimination, you will not be particular about continuity. Do you see this? Unless you are afraid that you may be no more tomorrow, you will not think of the future. Unless you are afraid that today your being means nothing, you will not try to relate yourself to the past. Why do you want to identify with the past? Because you feel that without the past today, you mean nothing. If past is taken away, then your passport is taken away, then your family home and family name is taken away, then all your belongings and knowledge is taken away. And without these, we feel empty. So it is important to live in the past, because past gives us identification and hence life. Life of the mental kind. How else do we want to go on and on and on and never cease? You know, the funny part is, if we have such an overwhelming desire to go on and on and on, I'm repeating this. Surely we know that some deep fun lies in being beyond time. Do you see this? What we often call as just normal human behavior is not normal. It comes from a point of fear. We behave in these ways because the caveman inside us is still afraid of the dark. Are you getting it? It is not common sense. It is the caveman. And why must the caveman still live within you? Those ancient fears, why must they still live within you? It is not normal to be possessive. Sorry. Don't take that as a synonym of love. It is not normal to be inattentive. It is not normal to be territorial. It is not normal to hesitate. In existence, nothing hesitates. Seen animals? Seen babies of animals? With zero knowledge, they do not hesitate. Man alone hesitates so much. These are all that same inner tendency. Till we keep giving it patronage, till we keep justifying it and calling it normal, it will maintain a stranglehold on our life. Language deceives. Do not give acceptable or even beautiful names to fear. Call X as X, and you need not use too many words, because that ancient threat is just one. What is that ancient threat? What, sir, is that ancient threat? I will be no more. I will be no more. That is the only fear that one has. When you see diverse fears, remember that if you examine any of those fears, you will ultimately come to this single fear: I will be no more. This is the substance of subconscious. Are you getting it? Let me put it in another way. The conscious mind says, I am X. It is a knowledgeable mind. It is a product of civilization. It has language. So it has, in its cleverness, chosen something as a support. I am an Indian. I am a father. I am a doctor. The I now has a crutch. This is the conscious mind. Don't forget that the conscious mind operates in language, and language has a subject and an object. Language always operates in duality. Then there is a subconscious mind. The subconscious mind knows only fear. It constantly feels attacked, invaded. It keeps saying, I am, I am, I am. And this I am is not the Upanishadic affirmation of being. This I am is a desperate search for a partner. I am blank. Are you getting it? I am blank. This blankness keeps crying out to be filled in whatever way possible. Become attached to something. Become attached to a person, to an idea, to a thing, to a memory. And then, even beneath the subconscious is what one calls as the pure self. The I alone, the self alone. But it is not very useful talking of that, because when we are unable to penetrate even into the subconscious, then trying to go even beyond the subconscious into the pure self is taking the matters too far. The fact is that the I, being non-dual, does not present itself to language. Language can only express something which starts and ends, which is an object. For today, it would probably suffice to say that it is very important that we see that the usual, apparently normal actions and activities of the so-called conscious mind have a dark and hidden subconscious background to them. It is not for nothing that you start liking a man or a woman, a particular face. It is not for nothing that you develop a fascination for a particular kind of dress. It is not for nothing that you hate some sound. Just calling something as a mania or a phobia does not explain that thing. If you have named something, does that mean that you have understood that thing? Please answer this one. Just because you have a name for something, does it mean that you know that thing? When somebody behaves in a particular way, then you say that he is being jealous. What have we done? We have taken behavioral patterns and mapped them to a sound, and this is what we call as naming, right? Does that mean that we understand what jealousy is? Does that mean that we understand jealousy? We have names for everything. We have names for this floor, for this pillar, light, bulb. The whole universe is names, names and names. Does that mean that we understand any bit of this universe? I'm asking you, do we understand?
Not necessary.
Well, if you are putting it in probabilistic terms, then let me ask you, is it possible to understand one thing and not understand another thing? If you are saying not necessarily, then you mean sometimes yes, sometimes no. You have now made it something statistical, stochastic in nature. I'm asking you, is it possible to know this man without knowing this steel? Is it possible to know even a blade of grass without knowing the entire universe? Let me drop a hint. If anything were missing in this universe, would the blade of grass still be there? Had the universe not been exactly as it is, would the blade of grass be found? But you say, no. The blade of grass is small, I understand it. The dinosaur is big, that I don't understand. Is understanding fragmented or partial? Is it possible? Sir, is it possible? But we like to claim that. We say, oh, this much I understand, but that much I do not understand. Is this kind of a statement factual? I'm asking.
Manifestation has variety.
Yes.
Just because I don't know all the varieties,
No.
doesn't mean that I'm ignorant.
I'm not talking of knowledge. I'm talking of understanding. I'm not talking of having a database of all diversity in your head.
When it fit my concepts, then I think I understand.
I understand.
When it is in my concept.
In my
When it is
concept.
out of my concept.
Wonderful.
yeah,
So, but is understanding about having a fitment with your concept, or is understanding something deeper and different? When will you say that you understand what is going on right now? When will you say? Will you say that when my words resonate with your pre-existing concepts, find fitment there? Is that understanding?
Usually it is.
Usually that is when we say that we have understood. But what really is understanding? What really is understanding?
To know fact as a fact.
To know fact as a fact. And then to know that facts do not stand on their own legs. You would call the wall as a fact. The wall does not stand on the ground. The wall stands with the support of the subject that you are. Understanding is not just about knowing fact as a fact. Understanding is also, and more importantly, about the dissolution of the fact. The fact too is gone. No, that is understanding. When you just know the fact, then you have knowledge, not understanding. When you just have the fact, then you have knowledge. Understanding is the disappearance of knowledge. So, there can be no partial understanding. There can be no knowing this and not knowing that. And when I am using the word knowing, I do not mean knowledge. Now, we had said that we must go more carefully and honestly into what we call as our normal behavior. And in our normal everyday life, it becomes very important for us to be settled about a few things. Is that not so? Life anyway offers so much of insecurity. We want to feel that at least a few things are secure. Because if they are not secure, then you'll have to think about them. That is our only response to insecurity. More thought. What do you do when you feel threatened? You start thinking. And thought is laborious, tiresome. So we don't want to take a few things as insecure. We want to label them as secure. Oh, this is settled. No more discussion on this. This matter is closed. But honesty demands that even that must be brought under the purview of sincere examination, sincere inquiry. Is there anything that we really know? This challenges our inner sense of security. This question is not a very welcome question. Even as I am saying this, there would be something within you which would be resenting this question. Because we all want to have pillars of trust in our life. We all want to have people and memories and systems that we can call as infallible. Right? The whole issue is that in our lexicon, inquiry is the same as doubting. So when I say that everything needs to be inquired because understanding is either total or totally missing, then we do not inquire, we cannot inquire, because inquiring would mean suspecting. Inquiry would mean doubting. Now inquiry is not doubting. Inquiry is not about having doubt on something. Inquiring about something is an act of great love. Yeah? So, you're not well. I'm inquiring. Huh? Behind the inquiry lies love. Yes? I want to know who you are. Not because I have ill intentions, but because I sense a certain beauty. Yes, that is inquiry. Inquiry is closeness. But when you will inquire, then it is possible that the other person may become aggressive. Because you are inquiring just because you want to know. Because to know is so beautiful. But the other person may feel that you are inquiring in order to expose or offend. You must be prepared to take that risk. That is the price that you must pay for living honestly. The more you will start seeing the shadows of subconscious in your everyday behavior, the more you will become free of those shadows. The more you will start seeing that you live in fear, the more you will find fear as an illusion. So don't hesitate. Don't just label something as dark, unknowable, hiding in the subconscious, and therefore justify your separation, your distance from it. Nothing. Subconscious, every bit of subconscious expresses and reveals itself in your conscious behavior. There is nothing in the subconscious that is really hidden. Your actions, your everyday living, your thoughts, if you are attentive to them, will show everything that is contained even in the deepest corners of the mind. And once it is seen, I am repeating, once it is seen, it is gone. Huh? It is like being afraid of something which is not there. Once you have seen that thing which is not there, that thing is gone. Are you getting it? This is what is meant by a really meditative, a really spiritual life. A life in which there is no place for inner lies. A life in which you just don't accept something as okay or alright because everybody is doing it. A life in which you do not look at yourself through others' eyes. Instead, you have an inner eye of attention continuously open, continuously and silently open. A witness to the whole game of the mind. That involves taking risks. I am again acknowledging. It is not for the weak-hearted. It is not for cowards. you must be prepared to put your entire world at risk. Huh? Because now you are saying, I do not know anything. So I am going and freshly investigating, and when I freshly investigate, it may turn out that what I have thought to be precious all my life is just dust. Now, that means that you who were a billionaire till yesterday may become bankrupt in your own eyes today. Because what you thought to be rubies and diamonds were just ordinary stones. But remember, when you get that eye which can call fake diamonds and fake rubies as fake, then you have also gotten the eye which will know and respect the true diamond. These happen together. Rejection of the false and coming of the true are one and the same thing. We want the coming of the true, but we are so afraid of rejecting the false. One cannot happen without the other. In fact, since we live mostly in the false, so for us, rejection of the false in a way will come first. Without that coming, the true would always be elusive. Nothing is so complex that it cannot be understood. Do not ever say that, oh my God, this is so complex that I cannot really know it. There is only one that cannot be known by the mind. That is the truth, the beyond, the transcendental. Everything else can be known. Everything else is just composed of the same few basic variables that were there in front of the caveman as well. I'm saying that everything that belongs to the domain of the mind can surely be known. So do not escape away. Do not say that, oh, my wife exhibits such complex behavior. Even God cannot understand women. Have you not heard such things? No. You are just being dishonest. All kinds of human behaviors can be known and understood. Just the one cannot be understood. Because the one is understanding itself. So it cannot be understood. Are you getting it? With this confidence that everything that is within the domain of mind can be understood through careful observation, through careful and honest attention, proceed. Do not say, oh, that one, he is a holy man. When he is talking, then no one comprehends what he is saying. But because he is a holy man, so he must be saying something great. No. A man is a man. Have faith that whatever is there in the universe is just duality, and even if it appears to be very, very arduous to know, yet it is in fact, as we said, the very same old story. It would be either fear or greed continuation, insecurity, one of those stale things. Now, why can't you know them? Surely you can know them, provided you do not give them new and fancy names. Provided you do not give them complex academic definitions. I met a researcher. He used to study the mind. Psychology was his discipline. So an entire page, it was dealing with the description of a kind of a psychosis. An entire page. I asked him, tell me, why couldn't you simply write fear? Why are you unnecessarily weaving a web of words around something that is so direct? He said, no, it is a special type of fear. Even if it is fear, so it has to be given this. I said, what do you mean by types of fear? All types of fear make you tremble. Does your body differentiate between types of fear? All kinds of fears make you feel uneasy. Does your mind differentiate between types of fear? Then why must your thought create this arbitrary distinction? He said, I am a researcher. I work in a university. My job is to create stuff which does not exist. Fine. All can be known. Know it, acknowledge it, confront it, and you will find that you have gone beyond it. The key to the dissolution of the subconscious lies in the observation of the conscious. Will we remember this? The one who observes the conscious mind is simultaneously, parallelly dissolving the subconscious. The conscious gone, the subconscious dissolved, what remains is you. And that is understanding.
What is meant by conscious gone?
When do you say that you are conscious of something? Were you really conscious of hearing me? That is what is meant by the going away of the conscious.
That means that going away of consciousness, we are without objects.
When?
In some sense, we are without objects. We don't take some objects as aims or I don't know what of our doing, but simply we react to the occasions.
The thing is that when objects are not important, even though they may be perceptible through the senses, but when an existential importance is not attached to them, then existential importance is parallelly also not attached to the dual opposite of objects, which is the subject. And that subject is
Okay.
and that subject is you. So the one who has stopped giving importance to objects has also stopped giving importance to himself. Now he lives. Now he just lives. And this is called freedom in living. What is it, sir, that you call as giving importance to something? When you are giving importance to something, I'm asking you, is it not fear? Now that appears a little shocking. Is respect not fear? Is importance not fear? If you are able to connect with me, is it because you are giving importance to what I'm saying, or is it because you are just present? I'm asking you, please. What we call as importance or value, is it not just fear? The whole game of valuation and attaching value to something.
5%.
But you would want to hold on to the remaining 5%. Yes. That's the... Sir, 5 is 95. You hold on to 1 and you have held on to the whole game of numbers. How will it be? I know it is not a subject of imagination, but still go into it. How will it be to live without giving importance? To live without attaching values. Do you know what it means to live without attaching values? It means to live without discrimination. How will it be to not to find anything as special? What does the important do to you? Is it not attention? I'm asking you. What does the important do to you? Is it not a load upon the mind? Alright. When you are asleep, then is anything important? Is anything important once you have gone into sleep? Nothing is left important. And that is why sleep is relaxing. In sleep, you become valueless. Now you are not valuing anything except relaxation.
When it comes to importance, need and utility is the basis.
Yes.
Otherwise we don't.
So, who needs?
I have taken a work. I need some.
Right. So, your lungs need oxygen. Yes? Do you have to give importance to oxygen to breathe? Your body needs energy, glucose, and many other kinds of chemicals. Do you really have to give importance to food in order to get food? Now here you want to make a distinction, right? Here you want to say that air is freely available, food is not. I want you to go into this seriously. If lungs know from where to get air and how to get it and how to process it, if the body knows how to process food, will the body also not know how to get food? Does the mind have to be involved? There is the lung, right? And the lung knows how to get air and how to process it and everything. You don't have to think. Or you may still think. If you are a thinker, if you are a professional thinker, you may even think about breathing. But we do not want to apply the same yardstick to eating. When it comes to eating, we say, no, I have to fend for myself. I must be responsible for earning my bread. I'm asking you, is the body not capable of really getting its own bread? Just like the lung. Must you interfere? Have you ever left the body free?
Then it will die out of starvation.
Why? Is it suicidal? Is the body suicidal? Have you ever seen an animal grazing, or a monkey taking fruit from the tree? Do they require to think? Is it not the body in action? Yes, for sure, the body needs energy. Let the body need energy. Why are you troubling yourself for it?
Body surely knows his way.
The body knows its ways. Does the body not know everything? Do you even know 1% of what goes inside your body? Tell me, do you know even 1% of what all goes inside the body? If the body has its own intelligence, will the body also not know from where to fend for itself? But we don't let that happen. We say, no, I am responsible for the upkeep of the body. Trust the body. But you cannot trust the body as long as you have moral systems and social systems. Now there is a problem. All moral systems and social systems are mental, product of thought. Are they not? The body is not a product of thought. Whom to support? Where to side with? The answer cannot be theoretical. The answer will be strong and definitive only when you get a taste of what it means to live freely. Once you know what it means to live freely, then you don't need mental answers. Then you don't even need to justify. Then you say, I know. And that is all.
So yeah. Maybe some other factor here involved. Not only fear, but only joy, enjoyment in this cultural production of small differentiation values and so on. It's a simple human being like to enjoy that. This is also part of his human nature.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. Yes.
Pleasure.
And this is also we can.
Is there pleasure?
Forget it. That,
Yes,
this is
but
here we cannot abolish it.
yes, but is there pleasure without fear?
This is a question. It is sure in a case when, for example, desires, when hoe zeg je, strast, when the passion are understood as desires. This is this fundamental mistake of so-called cultural men. That she understands his passion as desires. And then, in contrast to that, there are different kinds of fears. But if you live really from that basic passions, without strachu, without fears, this is also a kind of freedom. Because the passion, they don't have objects. They have something behind them which push them on. Desires, they have objects. They are cultural, but in bad sense. But passions are also cultural. They are play part of this enjoyment. Primary enjoyment.
The expression is.
Expression of it, and this is also here. Yes. So I must say that maybe also this enjoyment in new kind of fruits and so on, it could be simply positive if it's only that.
So is it possible?
If it's not then transformed or corrupted with this secondary concept of values, object, desires, and so on.
Let's go into our
something
moments of pleasure.
Yes.
When the moment of pleasure is there.
Yes.
If you observe yourself or others in their moments of pleasure, what do you find? Don't you find a clear tendency to consume pleasure? What does man do with pleasure? Man consumes pleasure. Does that happen or not? Is it possible to have pleasure without the fear of losing it?
No,
Pleasure itself, pleasure itself is the other side of the fear. So,
Is it possible to come to an experience of pleasure without first having been in pain? And is it not true that the deeper the pain, the more stark is the relief from pain which we call as pleasure? So, it is not besides fear at all. So, it is not very diverse. The matter is very simple. There is the self, which is immortal. And then there is the rest of the universe, which we can all club together in one word, mind. And the mind is fear. So there is either the self or the fear, and there is nothing else. We need not talk about a third entity. That is why words are such deceivers. They make us feel as if there is a lot. Words make us feel as if there are too many different objects. As if the universe is really a divided, diverse place. That is what words do. The fact of the matter is, it's all one. Call it mind. All that which appears is just mind. All that which is self. You see, sir, if we have a really very advanced language, and languages keep on growing, and there is this tree in front of us, you can have a word, a separate word for every cell of the tree, and you will call it the advancement of language, will you not? There is the bark of the tree, and the bark which is closer to the root will have one name. The bark which is a little higher up will have another name. The bark which is dark brown in color will have one name. Black in color another name. And you can have an infinite number of names pertaining to the tree. These names will make you feel as if there are a multitude of realities. What is the fact? The fact is there is just one tree. Language and thought have divided the tree into unnecessary parts. And then if you continue with the same example, without language, is there really a division between tree and the earth, and tree and the sky? And all is just one. It is the mind, it is the thinking mind that divides the tree from the soil and the tree from the air. Otherwise, it's all one. The danger is, if the tree and the soil are one and the tree and the sky are one, then the tree and me are also one. Now I am gone. So thinking is necessary. We live only in our thoughts. Such is our existence. No thoughts, no me.
What is the before? Thought? All this fear for our non-existence. Or it is this, both, there are two aspects of the same.
Sir, the word before too is a thought. How can thought tell whether thought comes before thought? Is there beforeness without thought?
Yes, true.
But we like to ask such questions. What was there before thought? Now that is another thought. We want to go prior to thought by thinking. Will that ever happen? But all the jargon aside, the one simple point is spirituality is basic honesty in living. Very, very basic honesty. Do not hide behind words. Do not give decorated names to your suffering. And that's all.